Hello everybody, welcome back to, the real world with the Woodward Cruise. It's 2019, you certainly don't need any introduction to it, and there are some incredible machinery, as you can imagine. And as you can, expect, most of it was American. As you would, know from the Woodward history. And most of that mostly American car was, classic muscle. Now, it wasn't only classic, but muscle certainly was rather big there. And there were, thousands of them. Thousands upon thousands of classic muscle cars there. And these are just a few of the highlights, if you will. We had lots of, Chargers, Challengers, and lots of Mustangs. You can see a Challenger right here. With the old and the new. And they all pretty much sounded, like this. And these are just some of my personal favorites. Starting off with the AMC Rebel, the Machine! That's just a cool name with a very fast car. Then we have the Shelby Cobra, quite possibly the best American car ever made, one of them for sure. This was called a Brickland. It's very weird looking. They didn't really know when to stop designing it, I would say. It has exhaust pointing downwards for some reason. Has very weird bumpers, and it has gull-wing doors, and I love it. It also looks surprisingly good in blue. I'm impressed how good that looks in blue. Speaking of the blue, we have the AMCs here in full attendance. Lots of AMC representation, which is good because they're usually forgotten about because they don't exist anymore. Which is a little sad, we'll be honest. But another iconic one, the 67 Shelby GT500, one of the best looking American cars ever made. That's a fact. Steeda brought a police car, which apparently, based on that brochure thing, you can actually buy this at your local police department. Another P51 inspired Roush Mustang Anniversary Edition. Looks epic, I will add. Mighty Wings were in full attendance in the muscle car category with the Cobra R and, Mustangs in general had lots of very large wings, including this one, but this is a special one. This is tuned by ASC McLaren, as you can see. These are the crazy tuning companies in America, actually, behind the Buick Regal GNX to make it the fastest car in the quarter mile at the time. And then we have Cosworth with the Vega. Many Vegas. Many Vegas. There's a Vega, there's an orange Vega, there's a green Vega, Cosworth Vega. Everyone gets a Cosworth Vega. There were a lot. There was also a lot of Myers Magnus. I picked this one out because, Frosty Gold. Not my traditional color choice, but where floats your boat. Also, quite a large amount of SVT Lightning pickup trucks. This one is special though because it's the first one, first generation, not the newer ones. You don't see the older ones too often, so it's nice seeing a different vehicle from the 90s in attendance. But it was kind of overshadowed by its massive Ranger counterpart, this off-roader beast, really. This was another unique one, though. This is a Mercer. It's technically a Ford Sierra, but it's sold as a Mercer here in the States. Not the Cosworth, but it is a Sierra nonetheless. Never seen one of these in person. But now it's time to move on to Europe. That's another one of the most popular categories here. And Mercedes had quite a lot of odd vehicles, we'll say, with the G-Wagon being the most odd of the bunch. And there were a few Jettas and Polos around, modified ones obviously, but the most interesting Volkswagen was the Karmann Ghia. That's a terrible German accent, but whatever, Karmann Ghia, and then they just did that. They made a terrible car even more terrible. You know, it's unique. BMWs, there were a few BMWs, but none of them were really worth mentioning. There weren't any turbos or 2002s or anything like that. It was just M3s, M5s, i8s. Nothing special, really. Same thing with Porsche. I like Porsche a lot. And I like their cars, but there weren't too many notable ones. There were a few 911 GT3s, but besides the turbo you saw earlier, the 944 here, and the 356, which it looks fantastic in hardtop, it's not really very much there, unfortunately. Now, the Swedes got a heck of a lot more representation, with Volvo and Saab getting a huge amount of attention here, and I love it. I love the Saab 9, I love Saab in general, I love Volvo. Hugely underrepresented, that's English. Speaking of the English, we have the Brits in full attendance. British roadsters were aplenty here, including this Triumph TR6, looking great in ice white, and the most famous of the British roadsters, the E-Type, because there's not really any other type you want but the E-Type Jag. And you have the Rolls-Royce. There were a few Rolls-Royces, that was probably the best one out of the bunch. Well, Land Rovers, there were a few Land Rovers as well, lots of them. This though caught my attention. The Ford Escort GT, not the Sierra, not the Cosworth Escort, but still an Escort nonetheless. And then of course we have a Caterham here, Caterham 7 in its lightest weight form. This was the year of the small car though, the year of the small car. In plenty, with the Morris Minor 1000 here, in brightest of yellows, I will add. The Ford Anglia, I don't know, with the weird notchback. It's in Forza Horizon 4, it looks awesome. It's also in Horizon 4, the Hillman Imp in bright orange. And a Fiat 500, I've never seen the Hillman Imp though, FYI. The BMW Isetta, the infamous iconic car from Forza, is here again. The Isetta is a lovely car. Also lovely, a British Mini Cooper, but bright yellow again, and a convertible. But the best European car of all was this one. Yes, there was a genuine 1986 Sierra RS Cosworth. The greatest touring car of all time, winning 84% of the races it competed in. I don't like the wheels, but you can ignore that because it has a massive turbocharger. It has double injectors for that touring car vibe. It's a legend. It's got the biggest whale tail of all the whale tails in all the land and all the world. It's one of my favorite Fords ever made, and I absolutely love it. It's my best car in the show. Now, the Japanese were a lesser extent here. They weren't quite as prolific, if you will. They're still great. Integras and Nissans and Toyota GT86s were aplenty here. They weren't my favorites, though. I mean, the Sierra is still my favorite, obviously, but you know, the Nissans here are pretty good. They're nothing to shout at, really. And as much as I like the NSX, again, there's nothing to shout at. What is something to shout at are the other cars you see. There were lots of Imprezas and Mitsubishis. This one caught my attention, though, because it's basically that rally car from Forza, but with a Road Neo version. Crazy lifted car, I love it. We have the Mitsubishi Starion, no, the VR6 I don't know. I forget the name of it, it's epic though. Then we have the Datsun 1800 convertible in bright yellow. What's with the bright yellow cars today? There's so many bright yellow cars. Another Datsun convertible there. A very beaten up Nissan. It's kind of missing a face. Let me want to figure out what it was. I don't remember what this is. I forget what it is. But it looks cool. Then we have the hideous double wheels, yet like weird MX-5, and then we have a Toyota Supra Mark IV in gorgeous. It looks fantastic, I would say. The police, though, disagreed. Yeah, something happened, and yeah, the policeman officer did not like the Supra. Anyway, the best car in the show for the Japanese was by far this KE Cup car. This little tiny Japanese only right-hand seater sports car. I love it. Now, it couldn't be a Woodward Cruise without some movie references. No, not the stock car behind it. I'll talk about the Bluesmobile right there. The 1970 Dodge sedan. And we have Starsky and Hutch here, as well as the Bandit's Trans Am, because the Bandit is the Bandit with his Trans Am. Ferrari 250, obviously replica, from Ferris Bueller, pre-kicked in and driven off a cliff, but you know, still a gorgeous car, even if it is a replica. And this isn't technically a movie car, but it's a Hyundai with Batman badge all over and two miniguns on the front, and it looks epic, and I love it. Now, there was actually a surprising amount of pre-war cars here, if you will, before 1940s. And lots of Studebaker 1930s, and they look gorgeous, I will add. Most of the pre-war ones, though, were hot rods. 32 Fords were plenty here, as you could expect here on Woodward. A few, though, did catch my attention besides the average hot rod that you see here. Most notably, not the pickup truck was one of those pickup hot rod, but also this. We have a few Model Ts showed up. Yeah, Model Ts were plenty. And a 1930s Indy car, pretty much. The military also was surprisingly here in full, I guess, the military surplus was in full force here, no pun intended. We have this thing, I don't know what it is, it's like a mind-clearing thing, but whatever it is, it's very bouncy. The suspension is very, very soft on that one. Then we have this, it's British, I think, with the Pink Panther paint scheme. 6 wheels, 12 seats, so if you want to bring your friends to the club, this is the vehicle of choice. And we have this speaker truck from the US military in the 80s, and you don't get to not hear what it sounds like. Now, going from military might to racing cars, there were plenty of them, including this one, a Ford Falcon straight from Australia. This obviously being the road legal version of the touring cars that won at Bathurst that year. I love it, it's from Australia, it's got stripes, it's epic. Also epic, Shelby Daytona Coupe replica, obviously again, but come on, it's Shelby Daytona Coupe, it's brilliant. Also got a Hoonicorn-ish thing. It's not quite the Hoonicorn, but it's got a Falcon Drift 65 Mustang. It looks like the Hoonicorn, but a little bit different. Porsche 917 Le Mans car. Come on, I know it's again a replica, but still, very cool to see. Another Charger here, racing style, not proper race car. But as you can expect, most of the race cars here would be dragsters. It's Woodward, after all. Whether it be the Cobra Jet Mustangs, or the funny car you saw earlier, or this thing, which I would imagine just you strap yourself to an engine and pray you don't die. There were plenty of them, but a few special ones caught my eye. Whether it be these gasser type things, these weird 40s hot rods, or a Fiero, a mid-engine Pontiac Fiero dragster with the supercharger, and the little tiny wheelie bar, I love it. It's so adorable. That was back from last year. Now this is a proper gasser from the 50s, and it's very loud. This, I think it's a Plymouth. Also, I realize it's a Bel Air, whatever. Anyway, this is more important than that Bel Air. This, I don't know what it is, I don't know what it started out as, but it's got a massive V8 in the front that takes up most of the car's space. And of course, a massive drag wing, a tiny parachute, no rear thing at all, and a little wheelie bar. I love it, it's such a mental machine. But not as good as this. This is the best racing car in show. It's a Boss Mustang concept that actually competed in Real Motorsport IMSA. You can see on the side, 1970s it competed in the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. It has the thickest rear tires you will ever see on a car. It's a prototype. They never made another one. I love it. But it is time for the best part of Woodward. Not the race cars, not the Sierras or anything. The custom cars. The cars that are wild and crazy, including a Corvette limousine, a Mustang limousine, and a not-so-fast, or luxurious, or incredible limousine, but it's very long. It's Pontiac, so there you go. We have the opposite of a limousine, a hearse, on fire, because, you know, why not? This is like a Mad Max version of that Myers-Manx you see earlier. It's like a dune buggy, but from hell. It's bizarre. We have a wind-up toy dragster buggy. You couldn't see it, but it was a little dragster. The upside-down van did make an appearance. I didn't get a picture of it, though, because I only saw it once. But it was there. Also, the tracked Mahindra thingy Jeep. Still think it's copyright infringement, but whatever. It's got 4 tracks instead of 4 wheels. We have the little mini car, followed up by this one here for the last few years. I think it's a Thunderbird or something. The Coca-Cola car. It's epic. And then, if you want to take a drink, Well, the Woodward Cruise has you there as well, because we have a can of Bud Light, I think, driving down the road, so you can pick that up, and if only there was a place to put it, like, say, a shopping cart that was, like, 15 feet tall, and powered by a supercharged V8, I think that would be a suitable place to put it. That was the best car in the show by far. It's not even a car. And then we don't know how this works, but it's a picnic table that drives. You don't know how it steers or how it stops, but it works, it moves. This is a crime. I don't know what it is, but it's a crime, that's what it is. And for some people, this is a crime as well. Although I really like this. I think this is brilliant. The van with a wing and a supercharged engine. Another crime here. A V8 swapped Mazda RX-7. So, I mean, at least they're embracing it. This is another brilliant car in show. It's a Suzuki with a massive V8 engine that takes up half the car. Another demolition derby style swimming crazy Volvo thingy. I love it again. This is another of my favorite custom cars. It's not really a custom car, but it's unique. It is the Amphibicar. It's got the fins. It's an amphibious car, the first one actually, from Germany. It doesn't really work because it has top speed of like 3 on the water and top speed of 55 on land, and it sometimes floats, sometimes doesn't. But the fact that it was here, I mean, it's an amphibious car from the 50s. It's brilliant. It doesn't quite beat the Sierra Cosmos as the best car in the show, but it was a pretty damn close. I love the amphibious car, despite its many failures. So there you go. Woodward Dream Cruise was spectacular as ever. I absolutely adore it. Plenty of fantastic cars, plenty of fantastic not even cars, and one heck of a story to tell. That's me for this episode. I'll be back with more.